Hello guys and welcome to one more WOM reviews. This video will be especially long than the habitual ones that I do. It will be in bad English, of course, but it will be a little longer because we are going to talk about Metallica's 72 Seasons, the newest album, the 12th album of the Four Horsemen. I had the chance to attend the global premiere of the album last night in the cinema, so I will give you here a sort of review slash reaction to the album. So it will be a fresh review, track by track analysis. 72 Seasons, it's the title track. The main riff was written by Kirk. It's a good song with lots of good riffs and with a solo that seems a little bit abrupt jumps in the transition from section to section, not fluid. It's not a fluid solo. Thematically, this is the central theme of the album, and that has lyrics that are very much based on the conflict and internal discovery, basically all the things that we gather on our first 18 years of life that will build our character for our life. So it's not strange that this song comes in first place. It's a good song, the title track for this album. It's a slow beginning. We have to get to the point, something that by now it's already common on Metallica's songs. The beginning reminds me a little the riff, of the feeling of the riff of Through the Never, mixed with the rhythm and groove of Wolf and Man and Struggle Within. So lots of Black Album vibes we have here. Lyrically, it relies more or less on the same theme, that it's a natural sequel to 72 Seasons. Sometimes we have an idea of ourselves that it's not totally correct because we don't acknowledge our dark side, and this dark side is like a shadow that will always be after us, and sometimes we don't want that. We don't want that shadow, and we want to get away, but we can't get away because it's a part of us. So good theme. We have a good solo also, typical Hammett on Black Album, so it feels kind of familiar, this song. It's a good song. Screaming Suicide. I had already done the reaction video to this one, and I must say, listening to it for the second time, I didn't have a very different opinion. It's a good riff, melodic lead, reminiscent of Thin Lizzy. Thin Lizzy must have been the name more quoted by Kirk Hammett and James Hetfield, talking about the leads and the riffs and the harmonies. We have that solo section stolen from Deep Purple on Speed King. If you will listen to Deep Purple's Speed King live, you're going to see that section in the beginning of the solo, that it's being played by Richie Blackmore's guitar, and it's being dubbed by Ian Gillan on vocals. So it's a nice homage, one of their influences. So it's cool. And Kirk Hammett says that this one he felt like a tribute to all the new wave of British heavy metal that he grew up on, and it makes perfect sense. And it's a song that it sticks on your memory, so it's for that it's good. Interestingly, it has a vocal melody that all in the band praised for being the best on the record. This one in Screaming Suicide, and it's interesting because when I listened to the song, I felt that the vocals were kinda strange, but obviously it had a different mix. It should have a surround mix, so the vocals weren't in your face like listening to on your headphones or something like that. It was more power to the guitars, and it felt, in general, not only Screaming Suicide but all the songs, it felt really powerful, and how this production was very good. So the trouble I had with the vocals on this one, second time I listened in a different setting, surround setting, I didn't feel the same thing about the vocals, so no problem there. So interesting to see how your perspective can change when the conditions obviously also change. So good one. Sleepwalk My Life Away, and it starts very cool with a cool groove between Lars Ulrich and Roberto Trujillo. We have a mid-tempo song that's kind of characteristic of the Metallica realm since the 90s, and we have a riff that seems stolen from Enter Sandman. Once again, the Black Album being that eternal reference, not for all the other bands, but for themselves. So we have that feeling of Enter Sandman. It reminds you a bit. Also, it reminds you a bit of Wherever I May Roam. So it's a good track, although middle verse is not memorable as well as the chorus and the solo. You Must Burn. It's Kirk's favorite song, which in his opinion has some of his best riffs. More mid-tempo groove. This one reminds us from Sad But True, which then flows into a riff a la Black Sabbath in the section preceding the solo, and the harmony between the two guitars that fits the song very well. Thin Lizzy, we're going to talk very much about Thin Lizzy as well. We have the solo, which it has some problems. Once again, transitions, it feels like punched through, it doesn't flow, but the solo, it's quite interesting, so a good one. Lux Aeterna, the first single, and it's not hard to see why it was chosen as the first single. It's a shorter song, the most emblematic and immediate riff of all, and it could have been the first one, the album opener, and 72 Seasons as the second one, like since Master of Puppets, Ride the Lightning, and Justice for All, where we had the title track on the second, and this one could be very much the first one. It's a great opener. I can see this song opening their live shows. It has that power. It has that Italites kind of vibe, and Italites Motor Breath also, but in a different way. And it has that naivety of the early days, and it feels great. It is by far the best song of the album. I admit that when I heard it the first time, I thought it's cool, but I think they could do better. Now it grew on me, and I think it's really cool. It has that riff that keeps on growing. It has a riff that keeps on growing and growing. So excellent. So Crown of Barbed Wire. So it has a ominous initial riff that reminds us of something even heavier, a la bow thrower kind of vibe, also Marduk. I'm not saying that it's black metal or death metal, but I'm saying that that riff, it feels like that hypnotic vibe from bow thrower from Marduk on their more mid-tempo songs. So it's a cool riff. Apart from this detail, it might be the more forgettable song of the album. We have a mid-tempo that doesn't give profound marks on us, as well the solo, kind of forgettable, but even so, it's a good song, but one of the weaker ones of the album. Chasing Light, the voice coming in before the song, it's something James wanted to do, capture that feeling from Fuel, although the intensity of Fuel is much higher than this one. So we have another of mid-tempo riffs, groove, taking us back again to Sad But True at times, although with more dynamics than Sad But True. It has more changes, it has it's more intricate, not so simple as Sad But True. So we have a good mid-section and a good solo, although we have those, once again, those hammering transitions that it doesn't flow. It's not flowing. The solos are not flowing. About the video, I didn't so far I didn't give much detail about the videos. We saw some of the obviously the original videos that were released. We had some visualizers, and the visualizers were kind of weak, and this one, my god, it was horrible. It's some kind of I don't know, equalizer, but pixelated, like it was a fart from Zishi's ZX Spectrum, kinda horrible. It was preferable to see the band play. Why didn't they just play the song like they did in Saint Anger? The best thing from that awful album is the fact that they played they released the DVD with playing the songs. They could do that, and would be so much better. That kind of pixels, what was that? Awful. The music was way better than the video, but it wasn't that hard. So Chasing Light, good mid-tempo song. If Darkness Had the Sun, this one we already knew. We had the opportunity to appreciate it for the second time, and we have to admit that second time it grows on you. The choruses is really catchy as hell. That Temptation, the band, all of them said that they can't wait to play it live, to see the crowd stepping in on. But the chorus is really catchy. It's really good. The solo, it's kinda improvised again. We have that. It doesn't feel. It feels like okay, we need a solo. Play something else. It's good. Go. It could be. It should have been had more work on it, more care. Maybe it's not a great solo, but overall, great song. Too Far Gone. So this is the shortest song besides Lux Eterna. Simple riff, guitar harmonies remnant. Once again, guitar harmonies from the Thin Lizzy book, according to Kirk, and the initial riff kept reminding us from No Remorse. It has that same kind of vibe. and the riff in the chorus is very frantic, very cool. Another horrible video. My god, what's up with the pixels? So many pixels. It seems like the Minecraft going berserk. Totally awful video. Jesus. Apart from that, good song. Room of Mirrors. One more with a great concept, a great lyrical concept that fits well the concept of the album, and we can say this kind of feels like a concept album without being necessarily one, but it has some of the kind of same themes. And this one, it basically says that we are the mirror. We are always in the mirror, in the room of mirrors. Wherever we are reflections of the people around us, and we tend to reflect all the good things, all the bad things, all that we point at others. Some of their faults. It's the same thing that we also have inside us, so it's a cool concept. So again, Thin Lizzy, one of the names that comes up by the band, talking about this song. We have good riffs, good solo, again forced transitions, but still sounds good. Excellent middle section, highly addictive. I think I could. God, I wish this song could be something like the day that never comes. It could have. We have several long songs, and this one, if it had that in the middle section, jam thingy. A jam section, it would be so great, but even so, it's a good song that really shines up in this middle section. It would be really great if they could extend this part. Innamorata, the song that closes the album and the trip, because this album, it has to be listened from start to the end. It isn't an album of singles, of songs for playlists. It's an album that makes sense listening in that particular order. Lars Ulrich himself said that the song structure, it wasn't chosen by accident. It had a purpose, so it feels like this one is a perfect to end the album. Like it has some mid-tempo, a slow start, even the riff that reminds us Outlaw Torn and Fixer from Load and the Reload. They were also album closers, but this one, it feels kind of different, not quite as effective. We have a feel in the midsection, Sabbath feel in the solo, in the riff, in the solo, the rhythm. And Lars said that he had the expectation of the listener not taking notice of the time passing by, and we have that. But it's a song that it's not one of those that will grab you at first. And it's not even their best long songs, but still it feels like the appropriate end to the album, and with a solo that it's among one of the best of the album. And we have lots of solos that hit and miss, but this one is a great solo that we have here, and it's a appropriate way to end this album. Final thoughts. So in terms of sound, it's one of the best Metallica albums by far, at least of the last 20 years. It has not that compression, over the top compression, Rick Rubin compression of Death Magnetic, and it doesn't sound like plastic from Hardwired, so it has a more organic feel. Also, it's maybe the better one to sound not better, but as good as the Bob Rock production of the Black Album. About the solos, not wanting to be the one that is always putting Kirk Hammett down, because I'm a fan of his. I like always like his soloing, even in the Wah Obsession. I like that Wah Obsession, but it seems here that he could work a little more on the solos. It feels like it was done too much in a hurry, without much work or care. I think it would be a lot. The songs would be a lot memorable with fantastic solos like Kirk Hammett has given us in the past. But even so, this work, I think it's much more solid than Death Magnetic and Hardwired. Despite having some better sound and better consistency, they lack some. This album lacks some of the bombastic songs that Death Magnetic and Hardwired had. Songs that you listened and you thought, "Whoa, this will become a classic." That the one that really feels close to that is Lux Aeterna, but even so, it feels like a whole the strongest album in the past 20 years. Where we feel that we have not any fillers like the previous ones, although we have some songs that are weak, but it feels, in the whole, it feels integrated. So it's not it's the strongest album they released by far in the last 20 years, being this one probably the last album from the band, because they release albums in the 5-year space, so it's hard to believe that they will go to work on one more, but maybe we could be surprised by them. But it feels like if this one is the last one, it's kinda poetic to end with this one. It feels like it has the strongest, or at least some of the strongest elements of their more commercial and strong, appealing music since the Black Album, without having any ballad. That's important to note, that this one, it's not, the band was trying to do whatever they wanted. It feels like that. It doesn't feel rushed. It may feel sometimes that things could go a different way, especially on the solos, but even so, it doesn't feel like it's done in a more thoughtful way. It comes from the heart, and that's the feeling we have throughout the album. It's a heartfelt music. It's heartfelt music that reveals the current Metallica state of mind, and if it stops here, it's not a bad way to end a career. And also it's a career that it's on the level of monsters like Deep Purple and AC/DC, where the demand for a studio album is far less than the desire to see them live. So people, for now, by now, don't want to hear new music, they want to see Metallica live. So it's all that they are entering that phase of the career. Although many fans are excited to have these 72 seasons, and I understand that excitement. I was also excited to see and feel the sound of the new album in a great setting, a surround sound, strong surround sound that really felt and paid off to see that huge sound that they have right now, and it was a unique experience. In any case, one senses that the band is still hungry for creativity. That's always nice to see in a band that has nothing more to prove, has nothing more to gain more. So it's a good feeling. The global premiere ended with an announcement that in August 18th and 20th the band will broadcast their concerts in Texas, I think, if I'm not mistaken, to movie theaters. So the fans who are in countries like mine, Portugal, that will not be able to see them live, can go to the theater and see the show and be a part of this magnificent spectacle that it's expected to take place. So even it will be a global experience. So it's a smart way to include fans where they can't go in a different setting. Obviously, it's always different to be in the live show that to see Metallica on the cinema, and we have Through the Never to prove that. But it's a nice touch to try to reach the maximum fans possible. So that's a good thing. Overall, it's a good album. It's not a perfect album. It's not the album that so many still desire to hear some Master of Puppets. The band is way over that. It's grown. It had different elements, but from the last ones, and we have to take mind since Saint Anger that we listen, no, they will go back to their roots. And this one, I think it's the one where you didn't have that, you didn't hear that Metallica was going back to their roots, and effectively that's the one where they captured some of their Kill 'Em All ingenuity and some of their Black Album riffs and feels and grooves, and all of this mixed in one decent album. That's my take on it. It's a decent album. It's an album that I will sure want to have in my collection. So it was a great thing to hear that these new songs with fellow Metallica fans in the theater, and also can't wait to see them live also in a theater. I hope you liked this brief long review of 72 seasons. Stay tuned to what we are constantly doing here on the World of Metal. I hope you're subscribe, follow us on social networks below, also support us on Patreon, PayPal, Coffee, links below, and keep it metal.